Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description.
Alone. Always alone. That's good. I'll become stronger. But what should I eat? I need to find food. Otherwise, I'll faint from hunger. I need to go. The guy slowly walked toward the store. The boy's name was Naruto. Everyone considered him a ragamuffin. The boy approached the store and folded several seals. Thanks to the voice speaking in his head. The door opened slowly. The blonde slipped inside. Nothing was visible, and then something happened to the boy's eyes. Everything became perfectly visible. The child went to the refrigerator and opened it. There was so much food there, an omelette with rice, and tofu and batter, and bento, chahan, omurice. The boy's mouth began to water from such an abundance of food. He grabbed the first cup he came across and began greedily gobbling up the dango. Suddenly the lights in the store lit up. A slight cough was heard. The boy turned around, neither alive nor dead. They'll beat me again, this thought flashed through the boy's head. Naruto started shaking all over. The cup fell to the floor and broke. The owner of the establishment moved towards the boy. The blonde boy closed his eyes, expecting a blow. And it followed immediately, right into the face of a 5-year-old child. The blow sent the boy flying towards the opposite wall and hitting his head hard. Blood flowed from his cut cheek. His once wheat-colored hair began to acquire a burgundy color. The boy staggered to his feet. His body continued to shake. The man, apparently not satisfied with the result, hit the boy again, this time in the ribs. The crunch of breaking bones was heard. A lump of blood flew out of Naruto's mouth. The child began to cough. The owner only grinned and threw the boy into an alley on the street. "You'll know, creature. Because of you, my wife died then." "Freak," the man spat on the boy and went off to his establishment. Passers-by, seeing the beaten boy, immediately ran to the other side of the street. They were afraid of this child. They didn't care whether he lived or died. The third one watched everything closely in his ball. He wanted to help the boy. But the elders strictly ordered not to interfere. Hiruzen was furious, but to go against it meant becoming a criminal. He called 2 ANBU, they listened attentively. "Now you need to go and pick up the boy and send him to the hospital. Immediately." "Yes," said 2 people in animal masks at the same time and disappeared. The third looked at the ball again and almost fell out of his chair. Madara was slowly walking towards Naruto. The only one who wasn't running away. The man noticed the kid and decided to help him, because the pool of blood that had gathered under the child's body confirmed his worst fears. The man hurried to the child. Approaching, he turned the baby over onto his back and was horrified. God, how thin he is. And what wounds. What kind of beast do you have to beat a child like that? Thoughts flashed through Madara's head. He carefully picked up the boy in his arms and disappeared. Both ANBU men appeared in the alley and froze in place. The pool of blood was still there, but the trouble was, the boy was gone. The masked men disappeared again and then appeared in the third Hokage's office. "He's not here," the shinobi said at the same time. "Yes, I saw." "Free." 2 nods and the eagle and the wolf disappeared. "Why do you need the boy, Madara?" Hiruzen asked into nowhere. Madara appeared near the Uchiha estate, but did not go there. He turned left and passed through the thicket. A small clearing appeared in front of him, in the middle of which was a small house. After his idea was announced at a family council, Madara was expelled. And he had to find a new place to live. It was very cozy inside. There were scrolls and books everywhere. In the middle of the room there was a large black leather sofa and opposite it there was a large fireplace. In the wall to the left of the fireplace there was a door. That's where Madara headed. He entered the room, laid the boy on the bed and began to treat his wounds. Although he was no slouch as a medic, the wounds slowly began to heal. The man removed his hands from the boy's body. The wounds began to heal twice as fast. This surprised him greatly. Madara decided to penetrate the boy's subconscious and see why this was happening. A few seconds. The necessary seals were folded. The Uchiha found himself in a room knee-deep in water. Slowly walking forward, he began to feel strong chakra. Wild. Unbridled. As it seemed to Madara. It was getting harder to move forward. The current of water was cutting off the man with the Sharingan. He realized that he would achieve nothing with this, so he attached himself to the ceiling with his chakra and continued on his way. Suddenly the tunnel ended. The man found himself in a large room. What he saw amazed the Uchiha. Half of the room was fenced off with a cage, and in the cage was the nine-tailed Kyubi no Yoko. The demon noticed the guest and roared. Uchiha! Poor boy. Now I understand why everyone hates him so much. I apologize for the intrusion. And thank you for healing the kid. Just a little more and he would have died. What was said left the fox dumbfounded. Why did you come here? I wanted to see why his wounds healed so quickly. See? Get out of here. No. You must promise that you will help the boy. Ahahaha. I'll help him. Are you a complete idiot? I'm evil itself. And when I get out of here, I'll destroy everything to hell. Woohoo. I don't think so, said Uchiha and activated the Sharingan. Don't do this, a small boy appeared in front of Madara. Now both were taken aback, both Uchiha and Kurama himself. Please don't, tears appeared in the boy's eyes. Madara put away his Sharingan. The fox sighed in relief. Kyubi is good. But he's afraid to show his good side. That's why he's angry. Kurama's jaw dropped to the floor. Uchiha's eyes became the size of saucers. And when it is necessary, I will help him change. Kurama recovered from the shock and looked at his Jinchuriki with interest. Uchiha, I agree to help the boy. But I need something in return. Okay. I'll help you bypass the seal of the fourth, then you'll be able to appear outside. How do you like that exchange? I agree. But look, if I lied, I'll tear the boy to pieces. Uchiha smiled slyly and disappeared from the blonde's subconscious. Madara-san, where are you? The blonde's voice echoed throughout the house. Oh, you're back already. Did you manage so quickly? A smile touched the Uchiha's lips. Yes, sensei. True, some problems arose. Yes? More about this. Good. When I came to the site, I started doing my warm-up as usual, using simple techniques, like shadow cloning. And when I was about to gain a veil after another attempt to take chakra from Kurama, there was an explosion and I was thrown quite hard against a tree. So the Nine-Tails chakra is being rejected by your body. That's pretty strange, this made Madara think, so, sit down now and meditate. And I'll go into your subconscious. You don't mind, do you? The boy nodded in agreement and fulfilled the teacher's request. The Uchiha made several seals. After the last visit, everything here had changed dramatically. There was no water on the floor. Everything was clean and dry. Entering the huge hall, Madara was surprised to see that the cage was open and the fox was calmly walking around Naruto's subconscious. Can I ask you one question? Kyubi stared at the stranger. Then, recognizing an old acquaintance, his mouth stretched into a semblance of a smile. Madara himself has come to visit us. It's been a while since you visited us. What did you want to know? I'm feeling kind today. The kid is having trouble with your chakra. He tried to transform it again today, but it didn't work. I'd like to know what the problem is? Oh, right. I forgot to warn you the first time. My chakra channel in his body was pinched when the kid's ribcage was broken. The bones healed, but in some places the channels were pinched, as I said earlier. And if you start taking them out, the kid will simply die from pain shock. That's it. Okay, but if I put him in a genjutsu where he won't feel anything, might that work? Kurama thought for a few seconds. It's strange, he's no relation to me, but I worry about him like a parent. Indeed. He had grown attached to this boy lately. A pleasant childish laugh. A smile from ear to ear. The boy had become like the son he never had. Yes, the fox finally said, this might work. Madara nodded and disappeared from the subconscious. You've given me work again, Uchiha. When will I finally get a good rest? Kurama asked into the darkness. But no one answered him. Madara opened his eyes. How the boy had grown. It was good that I had found him. Naruto. The boy jerked, then both his eyes opened. Yes, sensei? I found a solution to your problem. But you need to stay in my genjutsu for 80 hours. Can you handle it? Yes, sensei, I'm ready. I'm glad. Are you sure you can handle it? The boy just nodded, desire clearly visible in his eyes. Okay. Let's get started right now. Kokwangyo no Jutsu, Madara said, making the tiger seal. The boy was in the dark. There was no light. Naruto, hold on. Time is running out. The fox meanwhile began to break the boy's rib cage again. Madara saw what was happening to the boy. But nothing could be done. Having returned all the chakra flows to their place, Kyuubi sent a sign to the Uchiha that everything was okay. The man smiled. This technique took too much power. Uchiha sat down on the grass and waited for the genjutsu to wear off. Of course, he wanted to remove it. But he remembered that it was impossible. In the last battle, his chakra flow responsible for removing illusions was damaged. He had to wait quite a long time. Time has passed. Naruto slowly opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was a light, so bright that the boy closed his eyes. Madara watched the boy with interest. The blonde overcame himself and opened his eyes, which brought a smile to the Uchiha's face. So how are you? Is everything okay? The boy nodded. When I was there, 2 people appeared to me. One had the same hair as me and blue eyes. And the second was a woman with red hair. They looked at me, but did not say anything. Tell me, sensei, do you know who this is? The red-eyed boy did not expect such a turn of events. He fell into a stupor and stared blankly at one point for 5 minutes. When the boy shook him by the shoulder, he suddenly jumped up. The decision came spontaneously. He needed to tell him everything. Those 2 people, great people, who saved our village from destruction 5 years ago at the cost of their own lives. The man you described, Namikaze Minato, the 4th Hokage, and your father. The woman you described, Uzumaki Kushina, the 4th Hokage's wife, and your mother. Mom. Dad, one tear rolled down Naruto's cheek. The boy quickly pulled himself together, stopping crying. His gaze rose to Madara. Tell me about them. Okay, the decision was not easy. Why did he even have this conversation? What an idiot. And if the child's psyche can't handle it, what then? Let's start with the fact that Madara had been telling the child everything he knew about these 2 all day. The boy listened, holding his breath. He didn't cry. No. He wanted to prove to everyone that he, too, would become a hero like his father. And maybe even surpass him. As far as I know, your ancestors lived in the village of Whirlwind, but during the war the village was destroyed. And the survivors scattered in all directions. That's all I know. Sensei, I want to learn how to work with the elements. Will you help me? Yes, of course. I will do everything in my power. The blonde smiled gratefully and ran off to try to take Kurama's chakra. Itachi, come see me after lunch. Yes, father. The entire Uchiha family sat down at the table and began to eat. Once the meal was finished, Fugaku went to his office, followed by Itachi. Did you want something, father? Yes, you remember, 2 years ago we banished Madara from our clan. Itachi nodded. No one has seen him for a long time. And there are rumors that the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed has disappeared. You need to find Madara and track down what he is doing. Okay, the younger Uchiha quickly left the office. There was no emotion on Fugaku's face, he sat staring at one point. Itachi went to look for Madara. He spent the whole day on it. He explored every nook and cranny of Konoha. Desperate and disheartened, he went home empty-handed when he heard the sounds of a fight. This is not good. Dad won't pat me on the head, Uchiha thought and burst into the clearing. What Itachi saw shocked him. Madara, with a smile on his face, was fighting with some small boy. Madara-sensei, attack at full power, the blonde's eyes glowed with excitement. When will he run out of chakra? The elder Uchiha began to give up his position. He taught the kid to his own detriment. And he handles the elements well. To have all 5. I didn't think the guy was so gifted. 5 days before. Sensei, is it already possible? Be more patient. Patience is a very important quality. You are too restless. Okay, Madara-san. The restless blonde calmed down. Madara placed 5 chakra conductive sheets around Naruto. That's it. You can conduct chakra. The blonde nodded. A small release of chakra into nature was felt. All 5 leaves changed, under the influence of one or another element. One got wet, the second was cut into several even pieces, the third started to burn, the fourth turned into ashes, and the fifth turned into a small tree. The last one really surprised Madara. How? With the help of Earth and Mokutan? But that can't be. I examined his consciousness well. Damn. Well, it's clear that he got air and lightning from his father. Fire is probably from Kurama. But earth and water, these are the thoughts that were currently racing through the Uchiha's head with lightning speed. You can open your eyes. Block the chakra flows, please. Okay, sensei, the boy smiled his signature 32-tooth smile, and that's not the limit. Uchiha tried to hide his smile. But it didn't work. The blonde had some kind of special ability. He made Uchiha Madara himself smile. It was worth a lot. So, we figured out everything about the elements. I'll find the teachers myself. Do you mind? You said teachers? What does that mean? Nothing can be hidden from you. You have all 5 elements. Each one will be taught to you by one teacher. Although maybe one teacher can help you learn 2 elements. And I already have one person in mind. Naruto just lit up. He has elements. And not just one, but all 5, which made the boy very happy. And one more thing, in 2 days, as I remember, it's your birthday. And I have a present for you. A gift? For me. Thank you very much, sensei. A gift, they prepared a gift for me. It's just wonderful. On the outside, the boy's face only showed a semblance of a smile. Inside, a storm of emotions was seething. He jumped in his subconscious, performed pirouettes, walked on his hands, and even climbed the wall almost to the very ceiling, which greatly amazed the fox. Kurama watched the boy with interest. How much energy does it have? No, come on. At that moment, the blonde jumped off the wall and started dancing, which made the fox laugh a lot. Naruto looked at Kyubi with a grin, which surprised the 9-tailed one a lot. And then he disappeared from the subconscious. What happened to you? A smile, or something like one, wandered across the fox's face. Let's get back to the battle. Chidori, the blonde, cried out and rushed at Madara, but he quickly got out of the boy's way. Oh, and the lessons with Kakashi weren't in vain. Could it be? No, that can't be. When? The last thought haunted Madara. Rasengan, the blonde shouted, and a glowing blue ball flew from his right hand, and Uzumaki rushed after it. He really raised a child to his own detriment. Uchiha jumped to the side and made several seals. Fire release, great fire destruction, Madara said, and immediately a powerful stream of fire burst out of his mouth and, growing more and more, gradually becoming a wall, it headed towards Naruto. The Rasengan was immediately absorbed by the wall. The blonde jumped far back, made hand seals with lightning speed and shouted. Doton Dragon Projectile, from a nearby puddle, first a huge dragon head appeared, then its body, and finally its tail. Projectiles of mud began to appear from the monster's mouth and flew at great speed towards the wall of fire. What the? Both Uchihas thought. The mud projectiles damaged Madara's wall of fire and hit the elder Uchiha directly. The flames, out of control, disappeared. Only black, smoking earth remained. The blonde smiled cheerfully. Where did you dig up this technique, and when did you manage to learn the earth style? I accidentally found this technique when I was rummaging through the storage in search of information about my parents. But this is the technique of an experienced jounin. But I mastered it in just 4 hours. Itachi, who was in the bushes, was stunned. To learn a technique in such a short time? It was impossible. I can do even more than that, the blonde smiled, Mokutan, wood style. 5 trees emerged from the ground. They all grew until Naruto stopped the technique. Wow, you know how to surprise, kid. Tomorrow already. I wasn't wrong about you. Thank you, sensei. Tomorrow? Itachi never heard tomorrow, as Madara and the blonde had left. The Uchiha had disappeared with a Shunshin, and then appeared in his father's office. I found him, and not alone. There was some blonde guy with him. What? Fugaku's eyes widened. Tomorrow you will have to kill Madara, and bring the blonde here. Do you understand everything? Why yes, father, the voice of the genius of the Uchiha clan trembled. He left the office. Fugaku was in a kind of rage. He stared at one point and clenched and unclenched his fists. Why, father? Why? He's one of us. A single tear rolled down from Itachi's eye. He went into his room and stood by the window, watching the sunset. Well, the guy's soul was not at peace. Hooray. I wrote it. Today it will happen today. How happy I am. I wonder what sensei will give me. The blonde got out of bed, made the bed, and then went to the bathroom. A few minutes later Naruto was already running out of the house, heading to training. The blonde almost ran into the teacher, going from a light step to a run. Madara just chuckled. So, today, as I promised, you will receive your gift. But first, you need to defeat me. Naruto was taken aback. What? Defeat sensei? But how so? Okay, Madara-san. I'll do as you wish. The opponents bowed to each other and stood in their stances. At the same time, a pair of purple eyes were watching what was happening on the clearing. The girl was smiling. She believed in Naruto's victory. It couldn't be otherwise. Just in case, the brunette crossed her fingers on her hand and stretched them behind her back. Come on, Naruto-kun. I believe in you. The week before. Go away, the girl screamed and would have definitely fallen if a boy with hair the color of ripe wheat had not appeared next to her and immediately caught her. Several people were slowly approaching them, definitely genin by age. But they had the intelligence of a 3-year-old child. With shouts. It's a monster, they pounced on Naruto. But he disappeared from their sight. The girl looked at the boy with interest. What a beautiful eye color. Naruto just smiled, whispering in the girl's ear not to leave here. She just nodded silently. Naruto appeared in the clearing at night. The attackers immediately rushed at him. Oi yay yay. Not good, very not good. Naruto counted 6 people, 6 against 1. The blonde man who had been standing there jumped up. One after another, the genins flew in all directions. 2 ended up in the bushes, 1 fell right into the mud and on his face, and the other 3 somehow ended up on tree branches. To stop the beating from continuing, the boys immediately jumped up, and those in the trees, groaning and gasping, came down and disappeared from the clearing. What a disgrace. And they are genins. The blonde spat blood on the ground and shook his head. We'll need to talk to the 3rd. He'll do what needs to be done. Then a girl came out into the middle. My name is Hinata, Hugo Hinata. What is your name? Naruto Uzumaki. Thank you for saving me. You're welcome. Why did they run after you? They didn't like Nissan. So they decided to beat me up to scare him. Without noticing it, Naruto began telling his new acquaintance about himself and then listened to what Hinata was telling about herself. It had already gotten dark a long time ago. Naruto, I need to go home. Okay, I'll walk you there. The girl smiled at the blonde and, taking each other's hands, the boys went to the Hugo clan's estate. The blonde, as if hearing the girl's thoughts, rushed from his place and lightning fast folded 3 pairs of seals. Water release, snake's mouth, the head of a huge snake appeared from the water. Madara didn't have time to blink. After the snake touched the Uchiha, it turned into a wave, and began to carry him away from the battlefield. The second seal immediately followed. Lightning release, magnetic field killing Naruto's hands began to produce a multitude of lightning bolts, which he immediately directed at the enemy. Naruto knew that lightning went well with water. Madara, who was knee-deep in water and wet from head to toe, was hit by lightning that the boy sent at him. I'm shocked. Where did he learn this? Well, Fox, just wait, I'll squeeze everything out of you. Uchiha thought angrily and disappeared from the water. He hovered above the ground. Manjikyu Sharingan Susanoo, the body of a huge samurai, began to form around the red-eyed boy's body. First, bones appeared, followed by muscles and tendons. All of this was covered by skin, and then the body armor appeared. Let's see, Naruto, how you handle this. Uchiha smiled nastily. Naruto was taken aback by this, and forgot to finish the seals, and froze in place. What is he planning? This doesn't mean anything good. You need to think. Think quickly. This looks like a battle for survival. Naruto's face turned gray from the unexpected guess. He's going to awaken my tailed beast mode, right? If that happens, the fox will sneak up on me unnoticed and destroy half of Konoha. Exo, the blonde hissed angrily, Teacher, I refuse this. What? Madara's Susanoo disappeared from surprise and he flew down. Fortunately there was water under his feet, otherwise the Uchiha would have become a dwarf with hands growing out of his ass. Teacher, I don't need your gift. You're thinking about the wrong thing, Naruto. I wanted to test you. Check? You were going to kill me. The blonde man's eyes flashed angrily. And then something happened that Madara could not have expected. The blonde suddenly accelerated. A blue ball was already spinning in his hand. The blonde hit the Uchiha with it with all his might. Madara was suddenly turned 180 degrees and launched to a bird's eye view. He did it, flashed through Madara's head. Hooray! It worked. Uchiha didn't care about the wounds. Thanks to Naruto. He was able to separate a piece of Kurama's chakra and it was implanted into his body. Regeneration didn't take long to come. The broken bones of his ribcage began to heal quickly, and the hole in his chest healed quite well and there was not a single scar left. And he flew down. The landing was soft. The blonde just grinned. Well, teacher, where is my gift? Yes, I was definitely not wrong about him. He will become an excellent Uchiha. Right now. Wait. Let me rest. Of course Madara was playing a comedy. And he gave in. But he didn't think Naruto would work at full strength. Here, the blonde surprised the teacher again. Okay, don't gobble me up with your eyes. We can go. We need to go to the hospital. As long as Tsunade is in Konoha, she'll help us. To the hospital? The blonde's eyes widened in surprise. He never liked doctors. And he never stayed in the hospital for more than a few hours. Okay, let's go. Uchiha and Uzumaki slowly walked along the path they needed. A few hours later. Madara-san, Naruto is too tired, he won't be leaving the hospital until tomorrow, Tsunade said. What's wrong with your eyes? Madara asked an interesting question. Oh, they're fine. By the way, how do you see him with your eyes? Quite good. Everything is so bright, a barely noticeable smile wandered across the Uchiha's face. As you may have guessed, Madara gave Naruto his eyes. And he took the blonde's eyes. Tsunade also gave Naruto a gift. She handed Madara a scroll. Here are all the Uzumaki clan's techniques. I think they'll be useful to him. Uchiha smiled. And after saying goodbye to Tsunade, he went to his house. And Naruto was sleeping at this time. Hinata was watching him. Deciding that nothing would happen to her, the girl darted under the blanket to the blonde and pressed herself against his body. And immediately fell asleep. All the fatigue of the day was taking its toll. Naruto woke up, blinked a few times, then looked at his hand. Wow, these are chakra flows, the blonde's surprise knew no bounds. Naruto blinked a few times to check if this was a dream, but no, it was all real. The boy felt that he was too hot and looked to the side. Hinata was sleeping next to him. How cute she is when she sleeps. The boy smiled at his thoughts. The girl stirred, then her eyelids fluttered again and she slowly opened her eyes. Naruto, you're already awake. Oh, sorry, I'm just cold, the girl's cheeks turned red. It's okay, everything's fine, the blonde hastened to reassure. A few seconds of silence that was broken by Hinata. Wow, what eyes you have. Hinata couldn't take her eyes off the blonde's new eyes. Naruto was embarrassed. Yours are also very beautiful, really, Naruto said and became embarrassed. The children looked at each other for a few minutes, and then Hinata couldn't stand it any longer and began telling the blonde how worried she was about him. Madara found on the streets of Konoha. The eyes he received were very interesting. Every movement was noticeable, everything was so bright that he involuntarily had to close his eyes. A rustling sound was heard. Itachi, I know it's you, Madara said. Teacher, the voice trembled treacherously. Did you want something? The elder Uchiha smiled. Yes, Itachi's voice took on a steely tone. You speak as if you were going to kill me. An unexpected guess struck Madara. It's all Fugaku, he still won't calm down? Teacher, forgive me, he ordered me. Itachi looked down at the ground. I understand everything. Go for it, Itachi. Determination appeared in Madara's eyes. But, he was stopped from finishing by the fireball released by Madara's technique. Itachi quickly jumped to the side. Susanoo, Itachi said, and a ghostly warrior began to form around his body. Well done, I'm glad I taught you. The warrior took out two swords and crossed them, taking a fighting stance. Madara just stood there and watched, but did not move. Madara's gaze was full of determination. Lightning flashed somewhere nearby. Naruto's chamber. The blonde's vision darkened and he slowly began to fall to the side. Sensei is in danger, the boy croaked. Hinata managed to grab Naruto by the shirt in time. Naruto, Naruto, the girl's scream sobered the blonde. We need to help him, the boy's voice took on a steely tone. Hinata nodded. The boy made several seals. Dashed transition technique, a clap and Naruto and Hinata disappeared, immediately appearing on the battlefield. And the battle continued, although it was hard to call it a battle. Itachi took advantage of the pause to realize that this was his chance and pointed both swords at Madara. He still stood in place. At the last moment, before the swords pierced his body, he managed to throw the scroll into Naruto's hands. Then it all happened so quickly. The elder Uchiha's body was pierced by two swords and he began to slowly collapse. I'm sorry, Naruto, Madara whispered and his heart stopped forever. Sorry, Madara-san, Itachi said. Susanoo almost dissipated and he picked up the teacher's body and disappeared into the Shunshin. Naruto stood there for a few more seconds holding the scroll tightly in his hands, and then fell to his knees. No, 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 this can't be, no, 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 the blonde repeated like a clockwork, no. Naruto's fists clenched, with each blow the ground beneath his hands cracked more and more. Finally the chakra overflowed the boy's hands so much, the ground began to crack, the crack snaked, becoming larger and larger. The ground began to shake. Naruto, the girl knelt down in front of the boy. Calm down, he wanted you to be safe, that's why he gave his life for you. The words had a sobering effect on the boy. I will take revenge. Now the Uchihas will not live. Naruto's voice became colorless. The boy felt something rising inside him. Something evil. Uncontrollable. Father, I've done everything, Itachi said and laid Madara's body on the sofa. Blood was still flowing from the wounds and a trail of blood led from the door itself. Free. Itachi came out. Well, Madara, let's see what you were doing there. 3 seals. Technique for reading the thoughts of the deceased. Images began to appear in front of Fugaku, they began to move faster and faster. No, damn it, he couldn't, the clan leader's scream shook the walls of the dojo. This can't be, not this. The little blonde man slowly hit the trunk of a large tree. Several impressive dents had already appeared on it. Naruto, was heard from the side, maybe you should take a break? The girl with blue-black hair said timidly. The blonde shook his head. A few seconds later the beating of the tree continued. The girl sat down on the grass. It was early morning. Hinata had already gotten used to the opportunity to see the person she had long been and unreasonably in love with at such an early hour. When Madara-san's body was laid to rest, Naruto didn't shed a single tear. He stood until the very end. Until no one from the Uchiha clan left. And only then, a single tear fell to the ground, after which it began to rain. showing grief and loss of a dear person for a not quite grown-up boy with eyes the color of the sky. What happened to him then? He changed. Rarely smiled. Almost never spoke. Although they didn't need to talk. Hinata understood the blonde perfectly without words. And here it is again. Naruto is different, he exhausts himself, that he then falls off his feet. It's good that I'm nearby. As soon as the girl thought about this, her cheeks immediately turned red. A crunching sound was heard. Hinata raised her silver eyes and saw the blonde's hand glowing blue-red and the tree slowly falling in the opposite direction. A scream was heard. Naruto came to his senses and ran away. Hinata followed him. A few seconds. The branches scratch the skin, but the blonde does not pay any attention to them. A couple more seconds and Naruto is there. A few moments later Hinata appears. A strange picture appeared before the children's eyes. A child of their age was crushed by a tree. Black hair, and strange black eyes. The child was very scared. And apparently his leg was broken because it was twisted at a very bad angle. A single tear rolled down the cheek of the black-eyed child. Naruto jumped up to him and put his hands under the tree. It was very heavy. But Kyubi helped the blonde, because he wanted to keep the promise he gave to one of the Uchiha. Naruto slowly lifted the tree. Hinata, hurry up. The girl immediately rushed to the child lying on the ground. She pulled him in the opposite direction. Looking at the brunette and seeing the surprise in his eyes, she only smiled slightly. The tree bark began to smoke under Naruto's hands, and realizing that it was all over, the boy threw the tree to the ground. The brunette tried to sit up and, strangely enough, he succeeded. His leg had turned blue. And he was in too much pain to do anything else. My name is Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke. My name is Hinata Hyuga. And this silent boy is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto nodded in greeting. Sasuke tried to look into his eyes, he succeeded. Now Naruto's eyes were in an activated form. And the brunette saw the Sharingan, and not a simple one, but the Mangekyo Sharingan. Uncle Madara had one like that, flashed through the child's head. Naruto noticed that they were looking at him and hurried to return his eyes to their normal color. He succeeded. Sasuke began to make sounds similar to the whining of a puppy that had been hit with a stick. Hinata immediately looked at the blonde. He nodded. Hinata carefully helped Sasuke up. Naruto put the brunette's hands on his shoulder on the right side, Hinata did the same. The boys slowly made their way towards the exit from the forest. Half an hour later. Well done, guys. You worked quickly. Shizune, that was the name of the head doctor at this hospital, smiled. Tsunade left the village again, but Shizune showed a desire to stay, so she now worked at the hospital. By the way, Naruto, I haven't seen you in the hospital for a long time. What's up? Naruto quickly headed for the door, but he was immediately caught by the scruff of the neck. The one who caught him was, you won't believe it, Hinata. The blonde's eyes widened and a chuckle was heard from the younger Uchiha. Okay, this is the first and last time I forgive you. But I advise you not to risk your health anymore. You are free. The children came out. Sasuke was also about to rush to the exit, but he was grabbed by the scruff of the neck again, but this time by Shizune. Where are you going? You'll be here. For a week. No less. Sasuke facepalmed and rolled his eyes. Damn doctors. How I want to go home. 10 days have passed since the events described earlier. New day. Something will definitely happen today, but will it be good or bad? The blonde opened his eyes. Now he was lying on the couch and slowly turned his head to the side. His gaze was closely following the fire. The wood was crackling. The fire flared up and then died down. It was interesting to watch it. Naruto, Kyubi hesitated. I'm listening to you carefully. I have the opportunity to show your parents. Besides, before his death, Madara was able to leave half of his chakra in your mind. Parents, the boy's eyes involuntarily widened. Madara-sensei? Yes. Enter the subconscious. The blonde thought for a moment, and then made up his mind. He closed his eyes. A moment, and now he was walking along a brightly lit tunnel. A few seconds. An exit. A huge room. The cage was gone. Kurama was sitting in the lotus position in the middle of the room. Wait a minute. Naruto nodded and sat down on the sofa that had formed in his subconscious. Second. 10. 20. Minute. Naruto. Someone shook the guy by the shoulder. The blonde opened his eyes and saw Madara in front of him. Sensei. How could you? Why did you let him kill you? Why did you leave me alone? The blonde's voice began to fade. A few uninvited tears rolled down her cheek. Sensei? Madara is your sensei? An exclamation was heard from the side. Naruto turned his head towards the new voice. And froze. His parents were standing to the side. Kushina had a happy face. But the fourth was clearly puzzled by something. Mom. Father. Naruto suddenly jumped up and punched Minato in the stomach so hard that a crunching sound was heard. And then Minato was thrown back. Mom, the blonde threw himself on the neck of the woman with red hair. Naruto, forgive us. Forgive us for leaving you, forgive us for not being there in difficult times. Forgive us. The mother hugged her son tightly. Minato stood up. Madara chuckled to the side. I didn't guess that your own son would beat you. And with just one blow, do you want me to surprise you now? The man said with a grin, he's only 6 years old now. What? Minato froze with his eyes wide open. Yes. I didn't teach him much. His teachers were different people. Minato looked at his hand. It began to shimmer. It seems like the chakra is running low, said the fourth. Madara looked at Minato. Yes, indeed. The chakra was running out. Not so fast, Daddy, said the blonde. Naruto touched his father's shoulder, made a series of 30 seals. Minato felt a strong pain in his body. A few minutes. The pain passed. Kushina stood next to Naruto and smiled. We're alive, she whispered. I'll go. I need to train some more. After all, I'll wipe out the Uchiha clan. Even if not completely. Minato's eyes widened again. Kushina just snickered into her fist. Madara frowned. Naruto. I wanted to ask you. Please don't touch Itachi. And Sasuke. Please. I'll think about it. Get settled here. Everything you need will appear. Just think about it. Poof. And Kushina's favorite frying pan appeared in her hands. Minato got scared. And Naruto left the subconscious laughing. For the first time in such a long time, the child smiled. A pure and sincere smile. The blonde was practicing his blows on the trees again. Hit, again. The tree was pressed harder and harder. Naruto, take a break. The blonde just smiled. What is this? A smile? A smile? He's smiling. What happened to him? Hinata saw that the tree was about to fall again. Once again, red-blue chakra enveloped the blonde's hand. Swing. Strike and the tree flies to the side. A scream is heard. Are you kidding me? Naruto raised his eyes to the sky and ran towards the fallen tree. Hinata ran after the blonde. A few seconds and... You won't believe it, but Sasuke found himself under the tree again. Now both legs of the black-haired child were pinned at an incorrect angle. What are you doing here again, huh? Following us? The blonde picked up a rather large tree trunk. Kurama lent the blonde chakra again. Naruto slowly lifted the trunk. Hinata ran up to the brunette without a word and pulled him aside. Naruto lowered the tree back down. Hey, what's wrong with you? Naruto looked at Sasuke with concern. The brunette's eyes began to roll back. Are you telling me you're going to kick the bucket here? No. That won't do. The blonde leaned over Sasuke's face and looked into his eyes. A few seconds. Naruto raised his head. Will everything be okay? Hinata looked at her lover with concern. Naruto nodded. Hold on to me, the blonde whispered to Hinata and, grabbing Sasuke's hand, moved to the hospital. Shizen's eyes widened in surprise. This. What is this? She pointed at Sasuke. We were training, Naruto said and, smiling, left the office. Hinata hurried after the blonde, apologizing to Shizen on the go. Fugaku will kill me, the head doctor said with sarcasm in her voice, starting to treat the legs of the younger Uchiha. Preparation Sasuke, what the hell? How did you manage to do this? Fugaku looked angrily at his son. In the forest. Training. Then a tree, a blow. I don't remember anything. The brunette hung his head dejectedly. Itachi, where were you at that time? The angry gaze moved to the elder Uchiha. Mission. I can't tear myself apart. Itachi looked at the floor. Fugaku's anger changed to mercy and he thoughtfully rubbed his chin. Okay. It's all Uzumaki. It's because of him. And he also has the same eyes as Uncle Madara. Fugaku involuntarily shuddered. What? What did you just say about the eyes? Sasuke realized he had said something wrong and bit his lip. Itachi looked at his younger brother in surprise. Itachi, find him for me. I'm talking about Uzumaki. So that he's safe and sound. I need to talk to him. He's free. Itachi nodded, frowning, and left the office. Okay, now it's your turn. I need you to befriend him. And for him not to suspect anything. Sasuke looked at his father carefully. Then he nodded. Naruto entered the third Hokage's office. Oh Naruto, what brought you here? I want to pass the Genin exam. And I'm not the only one. There are 2 other people with me. The third one scratched his chin thoughtfully, then put his smoking pipe down on the table. You need to graduate from the academy. And only then, at the end, can you take the exam. How old are you now? -6. You know, I can't go against the elders. But you would make a good Chunin or even Jounin. I won't talk about other ranks for now. I saw your training. And I know what elements you have. This is the ball you were looking at me through, He's got a pretty good head. Hiruzen noted to himself. Okay, I'll enroll you in the academy. Who else were you talking about? Hinata Hyuga and Sasuke Uchiha. Even so? Well, fine. Bring the necessary documents tomorrow. Here are the applications. Give them to the Hyuga and Uchiha clans. Let the clan fill them out. And as for you, I'll fill out your application. Mind you, no concessions. Naruto nodded in satisfaction. I didn't think Naruto would be able to convince the third. It's strange. Darling, do you have something against it? Kushina was holding a frying pan in her hands. No, I have nothing against it, Minato raised his hands in response. Oh, youth, Madara chuckled. Hyubi didn't even bat an eyelid. He was now no bigger than a normal dog. The subconscious has changed dramatically. Now there was a big house here. The house was surrounded by a very beautiful garden. Kushina returned to cooking. Even though it was subconscious, the hunger was still felt. Minato sank down onto the sofa. I definitely need to teach Naruto what I know. First day of school Wherever you look, there are children. Everywhere. Swarming, squealing, squeaking. Naruto stood on the line. Hinata was next to him. Sasuke stood on the other side. Be patient, Naruto. This will all be over soon, the teenager convinced himself. A man slowly approached Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke. So guys, let's get acquainted, my name is Yumino Irika. I will now list the names of the students entering my class. After that, line up in pairs of 2 and follow me. Well, let's begin, I suppose. 10 minutes passed. And Hinata Hyuga. I think that's all. Let's line up. The guys started arguing about who would stand where. Naruto stood with Hinata. Sasuke stood behind them, and Ino Yamanako stood next to him. The next pair were Takahashi Tenten and Niji Hyuga, who was looking unkindly at the blonde. After that stood Shikamaru Nara. To say that he stood would be a lie, he was sleeping standing up, and Shino was next to him. Kiba stood behind them with a small puppy in a hood. The last ones were Choji and Sakura Haruno. Everyone follow me. The children slowly followed the teacher. A corridor. Stairs. A turn to the right. Another corridor. Another staircase. This is our class. The children looked angrily at the teacher. And noticing a door with a shorter route opposite the office, they began to swear. Only the blonde, the brunette, and the girl with blue-black hair stood to the side, and Shikamaru, who was sleeping pressed against the wall. Speaking of Naruto and Sasuke, they became good friends. They got along well with each other. And what's most important is that Sasuke agreed to kill his own father. A manioc wouldn't hurt, the brunette said then. Sorry guys, but you must admit you've seen a lot. Yeah, the younger Nara said with a yawn, 129 steps, 7 turns, and got lost 3 times. The teacher couldn't find anything to say to this and invited everyone into the office. First lesson. Everyone listened attentively to the teacher. Only Naruto looked out the window indifferently. Uzumaki, are you listening to me? Of course. You said that with the help of chakra we can do almost everything. Walk on any surface, except perhaps the air. Although it seems that there are people who walk on the air. In order to use chakra, very good internal control is necessary. But I haven't told you the last thing yet. Sasuke chuckled. Naruto turned his head towards the teacher. And this is taught in clans. If you didn't know, said the blonde. Irika stood in a stupor. The bell rang. The teacher came to his senses and only shook his head before he began to speak. This concludes the lesson. Don't forget to stop by the library for your textbooks and some scrolls. The lists are on my desk. Everyone is free to go. The children began to make noise. Each one in turn approached the teacher's desk, took a piece of paper and went to the library. Naruto stood up and, noticing that Kiba was looking at Hinata, hugged the aforementioned one around the waist and left the office. Sasuke looked at Naruto carefully. He's the only one in the clan, and he already has a girlfriend. I need to find one too. The brunette began to look around the classroom carefully. Yamanako. And she's not bad, blonde hair, kind, beautiful smile. An interesting option. He shifted his gaze. Haruno. Pink hair. Interesting. Cute face. But too nervous. Although, maybe something would have worked out. His gaze shifted again. Tahakashi. That's also a good option. Nissan said they work with weapons. I could use that. Lost in thought, the brunette went to the library. Naruto walked slowly down the path. He heard a buzzing sound. And then a motorcycle passed by. Then another and another. One of the motorcyclists, noticing that they were being watched, stopped in front of the blonde man and took off his helmet. Itachi, Naruto was shocked. Hello Naruto. Fugaku wants to see you. Urgently. If you don't come, he'll send the entire Uchiha quarter after you, the brunette grinned. Why does he need me? Your eyes. Little Sasuke has been busy. Get in, you'll come with me. Well, Sasuke. Well, I'll show you. The blonde said angrily and climbed onto the motorcycle seat. What? A pacifier? Ahaha. Hold on tight, otherwise I don't want to look for you later. Naruto looked angrily at the ground. He grabbed the handrails below the seat with his hands. He put his feet on the plates. Itachi stepped on the gas and the motorcycle took off. Naruto thought about it and almost flew off the seat onto the ground. Fortunately, Itachi managed to catch him. What did I tell you? Hold on tight. Equals revenge equals Something terrible happened last night. My beloved white-red cat was crushed. Damn that creature that did this. Let it die in agony. How my cat died. Here it is. The office. It is filled with bookcases and scrolls. A large leather sofa. A table in front of the window. Fugaku stood in front of the window, looking at something carefully. He'll ride this motorcycle for a while. He'll leave his head somewhere. You wanted to see me? Naruto said angrily. Yes. Why did you kill him? Why did you have to do that? The blonde started shouting. He was a danger to our clan. Madara-sensei told me that you were preparing a coup. And if you are killed, the rest will remain alive. You? Will you kill me? I am older, stronger, and more experienced than you. Yes. You are older. Perhaps more experienced. But not stronger. No, slowly the blonde began to be enveloped in a shroud. One tail appeared. Fugaku froze. The ki coming from Naruto at the moment was terrifying. Madara emerged from Naruto's body. Gradually, his body was fully formed. You're alive. But how? His eyes filled with horror. Madara remained silent. Naruto had a second tail, followed by 2 more tails. A Rasengan began to form in the blonde's hand. Fugaku couldn't move. Suddenly, his wife stood in front of him. Mikoto. No, go away. The woman only smiled with the corners of her lips. Naruto took off. Rasengan glowed red and blue. Another second. Madara rushed to Mikoto and pulled her out from under the furious blonde's blow in time. Fugaku stood after being hit by a strange technique, and then fell to the floor with a hole in his stomach, saying in a half-whisper. Thank you. A few drops of blood flowed down the face of the head of the Uchiha clan. Sasuke stood frozen in the doorway of the office. Manjikyu was burning in his eyes. And tears were rolling down his cheek. His mom almost died at the hands of his best friend. Get out of this house, Sasuke shouted and rushed towards his father. Yes, before he wanted to kill him. But now he realized that it was a big mistake. Naruto's veil disappeared. The blonde smiled wryly and slowly staggered towards the exit of this estate. Naruto could barely move his legs. He could hear the screams of children and the faint meowing. The blonde, with the last of his strength, rushed towards the place where the screams were coming from. The picture shocked Naruto. The 6 boys who had bullied Hinata were now throwing stones at the little kitten. The fur was already covered in blood. The animal's paw was twisted at an angle it shouldn't have been. The baby, overcoming the pain, crawled towards the boy who was throwing a stone at him. The kitten crawled and began to rub its muzzle against the offender's leg. Just look at this, the teenager laughed. He slowly raised his leg to crush the poor animal, but something stopped him. Naruto, enraged, created 3 dozen clones, each of which twisted the bullies and shined them to the Hokage's office. The last clone picked up the baby and carefully put it in his sweater, slowly went home. Hokage's office. Mr. Third, you saw everything that happened. These creatures must be punished. I saw what happened. They will definitely be punished. Just like you. An ANBU in a cat mask appeared from behind Naruto and immobilized the blonde. Now you, the Hokage turned his frowning gaze to the 6 children, you will train in the root ANBU, Hiruzen smiled bloodthirstily. The 6 children turned pale, after which Danzo appeared and took them away and smiled at Hiruzen. Thank you for the fresh meat, said Danzo and disappeared in a shunshin with the children. The third one just smiled sadly, puffed on his pipe, coughed, and closed his eyes. Unknown The blonde sat in a dark corner. The chakra did not work, as the room of monolithic stone absorbed it all. For Fugaku's death, Naruto was to stand trial and was given a choice, to become an exile, for whose head a reward had already been announced, or to voluntarily leave the village for a period of 3 years. Naruto already knew the third's decision. They had to leave anyway. Many thoughts had been spinning in his head about where to go. The first place was the village hidden in the sand, the second was the village of mist. There was nothing much to lose. Sasuke hated him now and would try to kill him at any opportunity. A smirk appeared on the Ninetails bearer's face. Well, let him try, he'll only break his teeth. Kurama. Silence in response. Nothing in response. Strange. Kurama. That's yours every other time. And again silence. Should I look into the inner world? The blonde's eyes closed and he slowly sank to where he needed to go, too slowly, which was alarming. He opened his eyes and began to look around. Everything was clear. Two idiots had found each other. An interesting picture presented itself to Naruto. On the clearing sat Fox with a big, no, not that big, huge mug filled with something of acrid yellow color, and opposite him in the form of Susanoo was Madara holding a not-so-small mug. The two containers went towards each other and splashes from the collision poured out onto the clearing, burning the grass along the way, leaving dark red paths. They drank the strange liquid in one gulp and burst out laughing, looking at each other. And I thought that Susanoo was a ghost warrior who couldn't drink or eat. Apparently I was wrong, and the blonde slowly began to approach the friendly couple with a wandering smile on his face. One face and a fox's muzzle stared with its clouded gaze at the speaker and, suddenly standing on all possible limbs, wanted to slip away, but froze in place and could not move from the spot. It seems to me, dear friends, that you are about to feel oh so bad, isn't it, sensei? Naruto grinned evilly and activated the eternal Manjiko Sharingan, first plunging the fox into it, which made him whine, and then Madara. I hope this will help you sober up. 10 years there and 2 hours here, I'll look at you later. The blonde spat angrily on the ground and disappeared from the inner world. Opening his eyes, the boy noticed a warrior in a wooden mask next to him. He ordered him to follow him. The wearer only grinned, following. Hokage's residence. Naruto Uzumaki, the Council of Elders has decided that you will spend 3 years outside the lands of Konoha, the third said, puffing on his pipe. I didn't expect anything else from the council, the blonde said sarcastically, and Mr. Hokage would advise you to quit this crap. Your lungs are 69% destroyed, essentially you have about a month left to live, if not less. Thanks for the advice, but I already know about it. After your return, there will most likely be another Hokage in Konoha, or rather another, the old man said, his eyes shining mysteriously, taking another drag. Naruto just nodded and with the help of Shunshin moved beyond the gates of Konoha. He had a difficult path ahead of him. He decided to walk the entire way to the village hidden in the sand in order to increase his endurance, as well as strengthen his mana reserve. Although it was huge, due to the fact that he was an Uzumaki by birth, there is no such thing as too much chakra. A week later. The devil take this miserable sand, the obviously withered blonde spat angrily, but continued moving forward. But it wasn't all in vain, the reserve grew noticeably, and now the minimum number of clones that Naruto could summon was 80. A slap behind his back, a terrible wave of chi made the child fall to his knees and cough, spitting out clots of blood. You're the one I was looking for, said the creature and rushed towards the blonde at great speed. A hand grabbed Naruto's hand on his head and a voice echoed through the desert. I, the last of the lost, pass on my knowledge to the youth of the Uzumaki family. May this gift help him in any situation. Ashen Priominar Ki Jor. There was silence, the blonde with his eyes closed fell on his side, slowly switching off. On his right hand, a small shield with a sword lying on it glowed. The unknown one slowly crumbled, turning into ashes. I did what fate had in store for me, a smile appeared on the creature's face, after which the wind picked up the ashes and gradually began to carry them away.